Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatiravanachari 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 Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatiravanachari 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 Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Nisimhadev, 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 Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur Prabhupada ki. Well, I feel very, very fortunate to be speaking today in such an auspicious day. Thank you very much for the opportunity for being here. So today we are reading from the Bhagavad Gita, the 4th chapter, text number 20. And the text goes like this. Is it okay when I speak in English or am besten Deutsch? Ja? Okay. Wenn du möchtest, wir können, also vielleicht du kannst die Deutsche nehmen, sodass wir können zusammen beides folgen. Ja. Na gut. So. Kapitel 4, Vers 20. Ja, hast du? So, tyaktva karma pala sangam. Tyaktva karma pala sangam. Nitya tripto nirashrayaha. Nitya tripto nirashrayaha. Karmaniya vipravrittopi. Karmaniya vipravrittopi. Naiva kinchit karoti saha. Naiva kinchit karoti saha. Tyaktva karma pala sangam. Nitya tripto nirashrayaha. Karmaniya vipravrittopi. Karmaniya vipravrittopi. Naiva kinchit karoti saha. Oké. Bitte probeer maar. Ja. Tyaktva karma pala sangam. Nitya tripto nirashrayaha. Karmani abhipravrittopi. Naiva kinchit karoti saha. Sehr gut. Tyaktva. Having given up. Karma pala asangam. Attachment for fruitive results. Nitya. Always. Triptaha. Being satisfied. Nirashrayaha. Without any shelter. Karmani. Inactivity. Abhipravrittaha. Being fully engaged. Api. In spite of. Na. Does not. Eva. Certainly. Kinchit. Anything. Karoti. Do. Saha. He. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. Purport. This freedom from the bondage of actions is possible only in Krishna consciousness, when one is doing everything for Krishna. A Krishna conscious person acts out of pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he has no attraction for the results of the action. He is not even attached to his personal maintenance, for everything is left to Krishna. Nor is he anxious to secure things, nor to protect things already in his possession. He does his duty to the best of his ability and leaves everything to Krishna. Such an unattached person is always free from the resultant reactions of good and bad. It is as though he were not doing anything. This is the sign of akarma, or actions without fruitive reactions. Any other action, therefore, devoid of Krishna consciousness, is binding upon the worker, and that is the real aspect of vikarma, as explained herein before. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Andeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shivizakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Repeat after me. Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. Yeah. Quite a verse, yeah? Yeah. So I'll start speaking in English, but you know, I feel like I can speak also in German if you like. Would it be okay?
I'm trying to learn English now.
I also try to learn German.
It's okay. I wanted to speak with you actually on English because nobody speaks in English and we need practice.
Oh yeah? Okay. Okay, then I'll speak anyway, quite slowly. I would like to start with a quote from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, which I found it today. And of course, it's being the appearance day of His Divine Grace, I feel very much appropriate, and it's very much connected also to this verse. So I'm going to read it. This excerpt is taken from the last speech that he gave to the members of the Gaudiya Math, and it was delivered on the 23rd of December 1936. Hare Krishna. So I'm just about to read a quote from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Yeah. So living in this world, one has to face many kinds of difficulties. It is not our job to try and remove those difficulties, nor should they depress us. We have no attachment or hostility towards anyone in this world. All arrangements of this world are temporary. Everyone has an indispensable need for the absolute truth. May all of you with one goal and in harmony with each other attain the right to serve the original Ashraya Vigraha, Krishna. Well, I found it very beautiful, because here it speaks about attachment, which is also speaking much in this verse. The beginning of this verse, it says, Krishna is advising Arjuna to abandon all attachments to the results of his activities. And I would repeat this quote because I like it very much. So this is a quote from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. It was in the last speech that he gave to the members of the Gaudiya Math, on 1936. So he says, living in this world, one has to face many kinds of difficulties. It is not our job to try and remove those difficulties, nor should they depress us. We have no attachment or hostility towards anyone in this world. All arrangements of this world are temporary. Everyone has an indispensable need for the absolute truth. May all of you, with one goal and in harmony with each other, attain the right to serve the original Ashraya Vigraha, Krishna. Ashraya means shelter, yeah, and Vigraha is form, yeah. So the original shelter, which is Krishna. So the verse of today is 420, and it's very much also about attachment. So I found it perfect on this day. And not only the very word ashraya is also mentioned in the verse nirashraya, which Srila Prabhupada here translates without any shelter. So here is asking Arjuna to abandon all attachment to the results of the activities. The translation goes ever satisfied and independent, and to perform no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. Here is speaking about a man who has an understanding, yeah, of how karma and akarma are working based on the verses before. And nitya tripta that is also here, yeah, this means always satisfied, so ever satisfied. And nirashrayaha, which he translates as without any shelter. In the translation, he quotes it as independent. So it's very interesting that the concept of not being independent, not being dependent on everyone, anything, it's a synonym of not looking for shelter in any place different from Krishna. Or in this case, because Krishna is speaking here on the parts of karma yoga, he is not yet referring himself to as Param Ashraya, or the supreme shelter, or directly referring to himself as a shelter. So he's still focusing more on the parts of detaching oneself from the worldly things, and not yet focusing on where to direct one's own attachment, which is to Krishna himself. So now he's just saying to Arjuna, okay, without any shelter, and then he will then give him more clues where to direct the proper shelter. And so I spoke it already in another lecture about this attachments to the results of the activities is something that Krishna has been speaking over and over, like especially, of course, like in the first six chapters, but also throughout the whole Bhagavad Gita. And this referring to the dualities and the attachments and a rejection of things, material things. It's something that he very much all over in all kind of different ways is saying. Krishna is advising Arjuna to give it up. And it's such a crucial part. And one thing that I was thinking, like, just basically here we're speaking a lot about duty, yeah, to one needs to be doing the duty, and we listed all the benefits, Krishna himself and Srila Prabhupada in the purport of doing one's own duty. But if we think on it, if we cannot abandon these attachments to the result of the activities, it's very difficult to do our own duty. And why? Because we are always caught up in these dualities, like, okay, I like this, I don't like this, I want to accept this because I feel like accepting it, because my mind tells me, and this one I really don't like, I don't want to. And this attachment always from worldly things to make it very difficult to perform one duty, because duty, of course, it's a duty, so it's not always conform to what we like. And so we have to do also a lot of things that we don't like. But when we keep hanging ourselves to the things that of our attachment, then the work a lot of time becomes very, very difficult, and the mind is rebelling somehow to the duty, and the process of purification that doing our own duty brings, which is in the mode of goodness, and Krishna has spoken a lot about it in the first 6 chapters, cannot really come about and until we hold on to these attachments. And so again, what is attachment? I feel like I ask it every lecture that I give. So what is attachment? Can Stas, was denkst du, was ist Anhaftung?
I think it's when you want to
Enjoy.
you want to enjoy from something, and you enjoy this for some time, and now you need to have this thing to have it to enjoy it.
Nice. Yes. You have enjoyed something, and you want it again to enjoy it. Yeah. Sanjay Prabhu, what would you say? What is an attachment to you?
I feel so embarrassed because I should remember your scientific explanation.
No.
But spontaneously I'm thinking attachment, it means I would put it synonymous with, or not synonymous, but like very closely related to the principle of addiction.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I cannot live without it.
Mm.
And
Yes.
if I cannot have it, I suffer again.
Yes. Okay.
I cannot live without it.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm attached to something.
Yeah. Sanjay Prabhu is mentioning how attachment it can be related very much to addiction, and it's something that we cannot really live without it or be without it. Rosemary Mataji, you have a clue? What would you say about attachment?
When you have the habit of something and you know you should give it up, and it's not compatible with Krishna consciousness, but one still wants to have this habit, then this is attachment.
Yes, so Rosemary Mataji is saying when we have a bad habit, and Shishi Prala Lakshmani Singade Bhagavan Ki, when we have a bad habit and we see that it's not compatible with Krishna consciousness, but still we hold on to it, and we feel like we cannot really get over it. Sorry, it's very difficult to concentrate. Yes, so the Srila Prabhupada actually gives a definition of attachment, and he says that attachment means to think that we can derive some pleasure out of the thing. Object, it could be, or it can be a person, of course. So again, it's like thinking that we can derive something from it, some pleasure from it, and that's why it's so difficult to get rid of this dynamic to be attached to the result of activities, because we are illusioned that we were going to get some happiness by it. And in the Vedanta Sutra, the living entities are called Ananda Mayobhyasat, so they are pleasure-seeking living entities. We are all pleasure-seeking living entities, because we are part and parcel of Krishna, who is also very much like pleasure, and like as minute representative of Krishna, then we also pleasure-seeking, and but because of avidya, because of ignorance, because of being in illusion, we still have this conception that through the result of the activities we are able to enjoy them. So one thing that I found it very important, and something that I try to practice, is to this need to realize that anytime I feel that I have this attachment, that I actually do not need it, that I need to have. We have so much knowledge that comes from Bhagavad Gita, and it repeated again and again, and we should be like being very clear with the attachment, with the desire that comes up, lusty desire maybe, and we see it. We may try to see it in the third person and be like, okay, I used to very much follow you and go all the way for you, but then I'm trying not to go in the opposite direction. I'm trying to give it up, to give yourself up, and of course it's not always possible, or in the sense that it's not always so easy to do it, and maybe of course it's a gradual process, but the very fact of realizing the attachment and try to be as firm as possible with such attachment is something that Krishna then help you to easing it up, to help you and give it up. If you still, but only of course if you want to work on it. Yeah, Krishna. If you still want to hold on it, then Krishna, because he wants you to be free, he leaves you with the attachment. He doesn't really interfere with yourself holding on to it. Yeah. So this is something also that I've been trying through japa time, because sometimes, like when one can see that we may have recurring thoughts or recurring like thought patterns that we may fall into when we get distracted from our japa, and this means that it's most probably something that we should be working on, and that is good to, after a while that one can see it, that it's recurring and coming up again and again. Then it means that we have to do something about it and to be firm into it and realize that we don't need it and try to go to the root of it, where it comes from. This is very important, I would say, things that we can implement on our own spiritual life. And another thing that is expressing here, Krishna, is that there is some, when we are abandoning all attachment to the result of activities, there is nitya tripto nirashrayaha, so ever satisfied and independent. Yeah. So when we are attached to something, as I think it was Stas Prabhu mentioned it, that we become dependent on this, on whatever this things is, or object of person. And it could be that we are dependent because of, what dependency mean? What does somebody have, how would you define dependent? When we are dependent on something, what does it mean?
Yeah, we are dependent.
Yeah, what does it mean that we are dependent on something? Right, this is also, that there is some that we cannot, Rosemary Mataji said that we cannot really live without it. Yes, there is a kind of a loss if there is this disconnection from the object of dependency, then there is a loss. Yes, yeah, very much. So we also may think most probably that we may derive some happiness or security from the object on the person. That's why we are dependent on the person. It becomes a part of ourself, a part of our identity, as Sanjay Prabhu was mentioning. And because we are dependent on the other person, which is becoming part of ourselves, if we lose it, then it's most probably it ends up in a suffering kind of situation. So we can be on many levels dependent, we can be emotionally dependent. For example, do you have an example of how we can be emotionally dependent?
Friend or girlfriend.
Right, friend or girlfriend. Yes, we can be dependent on how this person will make me feel. We have somehow a very matching kind of karma, and then the person, because listen to me, or like it reciprocates me in a way that make me feel understood or have a similar kind of passions, then I feel sheltered. I feel this dependence on this person, and if I lose the relationship with this person, then I get suffering very much. How can I be then psychologically dependent? Or an example of being psychologically dependent.
I give a big class and everyone is appreciating and smiling.
Yeah.
I'm a very wonderful speaker.
Yes. Sanjay Prabhu is saying how I may give an amazing class and everybody is praising me, and and I get maybe attached, or like I like this fact that they are praising me. Yes, this is surely like judgment from others, recognition. This is all a sign of dependency on them. And then when the problem is when we expect again such praises, and then we don't receive them, and then again suffering comes. And because of course there's attachment hidden beneath. And how about physical dependence?
I must have a big house, it eats meat, I cannot live in
Yes. Yeah. Some object like this Prabhu is saying, like house, I need to have my own fleshy meals, and I cannot live without it. Yes, absolutely. Or I was also thinking of children, especially they feel like they are physically dependent from their parents because they give them protection. This is also another one. Yeah. And what about spiritual dependency? What are your thoughts on spiritual dependency?
What do we depend on?
Yeah. What do you think? Is there what do you think is the problem with spiritual dependency? Because we saw that emotionally, psychologically, physical, they all kind of then bring about suffering if they are in this kind of like hidden attachment. But what about spiritual dependency? It's great. Yes. But why is it great?
Because it connects us to the spiritual energy.
Right. Yeah. Sanjay Prabhu says that spiritual dependency compared to the other ones which were more on the material platform, they're great. It's actually good and recommended. Yeah, Stas Prabhu.
It's spiritual, which means that it's not material and it's more stable. That's all. So, for example, when you have some home or something like that that will be destroyed at some moment, but spiritual, we can be dependent on it because it's not dangerous.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, Stas Prabhu is saying that on the other kind of dependency, we are dependent on something temporary, and while when it is spiritual, then it's not so dangerous. You mean? Yeah, it's not so dangerous. It's eternal. So it how can you lose, or how can it goes away something eternal? And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is actually suggesting as an attachment to the spiritual master is actually what is really bringing us out of this vrittis, like these circles of karmas that we are stuck into. Yeah. So and this is like the to get past anartha vrittis, then like to get past all these unwanted desires that we have, the attachment to spiritual master, to the words, to the faith, to the presence of the spiritual master. It is what really it's how we help us to develop healthy kind of dependence. Yeah. Oh yeah. Srila Rupa Goswami says that. Oh yes. So Sanjay Prabhu is sharing how Srila Rupa Goswami says that it's quite dangerous actually to become attached to Krishna, because you may lose all your social assets and securities. Yes. Yeah, that's true. Very much. And also there is the part of Nitya Tripto, yeah, so ever satisfied. And so when one is not attached anymore to the results of the activities, so understands that the attachment to the results are always like a source somehow of suffering ultimately, then slowly would try to give it up, and then naturally would be situated in a position in which one's own nature, which is ever existent and blissful in his own state, it would be uncovered, it would get revealed, and it would just naturally rejoice in itself. And I was reflecting on how when we want to deal with the impersonal aspect of God, it's somehow easier, because when I deal with objects, when I deal with something that does not have personality, I do not have to deal with the likes and dislike of this other person. And when I have to deal with the likes and dislikes of other person, of other personality, then it means that in the relationship I have to change something. I cannot really go all the way by my own likes and dislikes, so by my own attachments. So let me make an example. We are in the ashram, yeah? We live in the ashram. Everybody has tried the ashram experience. Or like living with others. That's very, very simple. It can be in the family, it can be in a VG. And, one wants to go to sleep, and the other one instead feels like singing, And then, the one has the attachment of still singing, and the other one would like to go to sleep instead. But then, because we are in a relationship, then somehow we have to try to figure out something to get over it. And then so every person, every individual has his own likes and dislikes. But then it becomes but when we have a relationship, then we really need to maintain the relationship, to also increase the loving exchanges within. We, of course, have to start to understand what the other person likes and dislike. Otherwise, if we can continue with our own likes and dislikes, but they are, let's say, triggering the other person, or the other person really is not really tuned into the same kind of, then the relationship will not really go deeper, because this opening kind of possibility of the heart in the exchanges of the two will not really happen. So that's why we have all these loving exchanges to try to get closer to oneself, and to be more giving, more trying to go towards the other person. And of course, it's very much the same when we deal with Krishna, yeah, and everything. So we try to harmonize ourselves with Krishna, and to that his whole creation has his own mechanism, and we try to be in tune with it. We try to develop the same intention as Krishna has, to be one with him in intention, and that means that I have to change my consciousness. I have to change my likes and dislikes. And this is why, to go back to the beginning, that's why it's easier to deal with the impersonal aspect of Krishna, because he doesn't have, it's not a direct, let's say, feedback on the likes and dislikes. If I'm dealing with the table, I can do more or less with the table more or less what I want. I can move it around and this and that, and I more kind of adjust it to my own likes and dislikes. But when I deal with a personality, with a person, then I need to change my pattern, my consciousness, to get in harmony with the other person. So Krishna really helps us anyway in this process, yeah, and he does it in many ways. One way that it's maybe also misunderstood is like that he does it through suffering, yeah, through finding problems, and when we get to the consciousness that is mercy actually of Krishna, that we have suffering, we really can understand. Okay, I have this thing is not really working, so I need to change something, and I need to harmonize myself with Krishna, and this is like a little nudge to change, to get towards change our consciousness and direct it more to Krishna consciousness, of course. So that means to consciousness compatible and in line with what Krishna likes. Yeah. Yes, and when we get to this tuning with Krishna, then we finally get over the duality, because otherwise we cannot really go over duality. Let's say when somebody goes to the gym, let's say a person could be totally happy by being in the gym because that's a place that he likes, and some other person who is totally not into it is just suffering in the same place. And one we could see, so how based on our likes and dislikes, one can be in suffering or can be in a happy, let's say, so-called happy state. But when we put Krishna inside the situation, when we try to tune in with Krishna, then our attitude would be not like, oh, I like the gym, or I don't like the gym. It would be more like, okay, what is Krishna? Krishna is, of course, directing my wandering, and somehow I end up here. And what can I do for Krishna in this situation? How can I serve him? How can I tune in with Krishna? And in this case, there is no kind of suffering that would come up to us, but we see the learning opportunity and the opportunity to change our consciousness and to get more closer to Krishna's consciousness. Yeah. There is and through that we will get over finally of dualities. Yeah. One devotee just asked me this very interesting question, which I really like. So why is it bad to be having? I'm asking you all. Why is it bad to be having a special love for the family, for someone who is dear to you? Let's say we spend so much time with a person, or with some different people, friends, family, and it feels kind of natural to have, special kind of love for them compared to a stranger, compared to somebody who I don't really know. So this person asked me, okay, why should I not love them more than a stranger? It feels so much natural. What do you think of that?
How do you define love?
Yeah, that's true. Let's say affection instead of love. Love is, you're right, is a bit, but affection. Yeah. So is it clear that? Shall I repeat? Yeah. So why? One devotee is asking, okay, why is it bad? Because Krishna is speaking about equanimity, speaking about loving and not being attached to different people. Yeah. But it's quite normal that if we are living in a family and we spend a lot of time with friends, family, or whatever, dear ones, then we develop some kind of like increased or more affection for some certain people compared to a stranger, let's say, or somebody living on the other part of the planet. So is there something bad into it? Like why should I feel bad about having like some? Why should it be bad to have special kind of affection for such people? Yeah, Vestas, yeah.
Because it's attachment, and you know that when we can become some enjoy from it in the beginning, but then at least we have only this attachment that and then we do not become so much enjoy, but we will see when some person, for example, family, my wife doing something not right, and then it's I don't become some enjoy from it already, from this attachment, but when something get wrong, so someday he didn't cook or something like that, then you will anger on this person or something like that, and so at the end they have only bad experience and actually no enjoy.
Okay, so Stas Prabhu is saying that when we get attached, for example, to a family member or so, then this family member may do also something wrong or is not pleasing to us, and then some bad feelings about it, anger would come out of it, and then this may also become more often, and at the end is not an enjoyable experience. Yeah, Sanjay Prabhu? Mm.
And it said that, how was it? He will not, he will not excuse his own son if his son does something wrong, and he will not try to punish the son of his enemy if that son of his enemy is a good person.
Mm.
Which means that he was aloof from acting on. I feel like I think it is difficult if you have a close relationship to not give more affection. But I
Right.
would say the very crucial question is: are you moved by that?
Mm.
You should not be. You should be so strong internally that you are not moved by affection, because
Right.
it will blur our picture of reality. And we cannot act. We cannot give proper justice to given situation.
Yeah, thank you. Sanjay Prabhu is mentioning the example that we had 2 days ago from King Prithu, that he would, that he said that he would punish his child if he would do wrongdoings, and of course not punish maybe like the child of an enemy if he would be acting properly. And in this sense, he was feeling kind of aloof and not attached to the child. But of course, Sanjay Prabhu is also mentioning that if we are, we may feel some affection to the family members, but or to dear ones, but we don't let this affection be the cause of some actions that we do based on that. So we try to not to act upon it, and so in order not to distort the reality of things, so that it doesn't affect us. Yes, very much. Both of you have very good answers. Yes, so because when we are attached to something, because we feel it so close to ourselves and we close to our identity, also anything that would endanger the object of our attachment, then we would be either fearful for this action or angry towards what endangers our attachment. So because we would be more affectionate, let's say, to our dear ones if they get endangered, but by some external or from in whichever case possibility, emotionally, physically, and so, then we would have some anger, some fearful, some negative emotions towards the object of this endangerment, and that would cause duality again. Yeah, so attraction, rejection. So as long as we have affection or attachment, even to dear ones, and we act upon it, we have them, we feel that, then we cannot really go over dualities, and this would always then bring us back, pull us back to the pool of suffering then at the end. Yes, very much. So this is more or less what I wanted to speak today. Thank you very much. I would like to make a very little summary to conclude. So we spoke much about attachment, and what can help to deal with attachment is also realizing that we have this illusion of thinking that we would derive pleasure from these attachments. But we know very well from our own personal experience in Bhagavad Gita that we actually, it's not the reality of things. So we have to be clear with ourselves that we don't really need this attachment. Yeah. So we have to be firm on it and try to realize it. Then spiritual attachment, like in the different levels, spiritual, emotional, physical, psychological. Spiritual attachment is the only one that can actually lead us to proper development. And spiritual attachment means to anything that is related to Krishna. Yeah, so attachment to Krishna consciousness, to the process of bhakti, to the spiritual master, and also another point that we spoke is that suffering can also help us in our process of changing consciousness. So, because when we suffering can point us where our attachments are and our own incorrect vision of the world that we might have. So this kind of like see us, okay, maybe I just should change my own consciousness in this. We just spoke about the example of the gym. Yeah, like two different people can see it in a very different way, an external situation. So it means that it's only based on the consciousness. It's not based on the external things. So one can always remember that to go towards a positive change of consciousness, elevate ourselves, going towards Krishna consciousness. Suffering can be also like a trigger for a positive change, especially when we see Krishna in it. And Krishna is all good and wishing everybody always well. So this is, again, in this process, it can always help on that occasion. Thank you very much for coming. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki.